Hey everyone, my name is Uzair Merchant. I'm a filmmaker and production designer. Hello from Global Village and all the kids who are currently watching this little tutorial video. Today in this video, we're gonna have a quick run through of how young filmmakers like yourselves who are watching this can become filmmakers and aspire to be filmmakers in today's world. Just like you, at some point when I was young, I thought about creating worlds and making stories and making films. And today I'm going to share with you guys a few tips, a few little tricks, and things that y'all can do to become filmmakers of the future and learn to tell your stories. So, the first thing that we're going to learn about, number one, the most important thing is your story. Script is the most important thing in anything of a filmmaker's journey. What do you want to say? Ask yourselves, what is the story I want to communicate? And go back and sit down and think and reflect on how can you tell the best story in the best way. So what are the things that we must think about when it comes to story? Because you can think about a story in a long form or in a short form. So think about what is the essence, what is the most core part, the soul of the story. If I want to talk about the journey of a single man or a person or a child, what it is that I'm trying to say about this person or child. Is it their experience, their hardship, their trials, their celebrations, their victories, and everything that makes this character special? So, going back, what is the first most important thing that we're going to learn? Story. To write your story, you want to start thinking about how you can build conflict. Every story must have an arc. Just like every good story in this world starts with an arc. And this arc is the journey of the character that you must want to tell. So when you decide this is a story I want to share, I want you to think about all the things that go into the arc of this character. Now what is the arc of the character? I'm going to explain to you. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good things the character goes through, the emotions the character goes through, we want the audience to feel it. If a person is trying to run a race, what goes through their mind when they're trying to run a race? We want to tell that side of the story. We want them to see what are the emotions the character goes through while running this race. What happens during the race? Are they going to give up? Are they going to fall? Are they going to get beaten down by someone? Are they going to win and not care about it? Or are they going to lose and care about it to come again? So think about what makes this character special. Every character must experience hardship. Once we introduce conflict, we introduce the resolution. So when there's something bad, we can solve it in our story and eventually we present the resolution. So the most important thing about storytelling in the script form is conflict and resolution. Find something that triggers the character. What motivates the character? Why are they doing what they are doing? Because nothing is just for anything. There's always a reason. There's always a reason why a character goes through those moments. So as young filmmakers, look around you and see the stories that inspire you. It could be your favorite football player, it could be your favorite wrestler, it could be your mom and dad, or anyone that inspires you, and see how their journeys have gone from conflict to resolution. And when you put these together in a story, you're going to get a beautiful script. So, going back, the first most important thing about filmmaking begins from the story and the script. So now that we've covered the first part of the journey of telling a story, which is your script, let's move on to the next part of it, which is what do you do with words on a paper? They have to become a reality. And to make this a reality, we must break down your script. So plan your shots. What are the things that involve to tell your story? Location? Where is it? Is it daytime? Is it nighttime? Is there any other element that makes it special? If it's a horror script, then maybe you want something that is a bit dark. If it's a story about your friend, maybe it's their house or their favorite toy. That toy or that prop, as we call it in the film business, becomes a key part of storytelling. If any of you know Avengers or all the famous Marvel films, Thor has a big hammer. And this hammer is a very important prop. And without this prop, Thor is powerless. So we must think of when this story must be brought to life, how do we plan our shots? And so those are the first few things we must start with. The next thing is how do you shoot in those sequences? So be very careful that there is no right or wrong way to do this. You cannot become filmmakers without just trial and error. So the only way is to try. But how do you try? Plan your shots. Think about where do I want to place the camera? Do I want to show it from the front? Do I want to show it from the top? Why do we choose these shots? Because they tell you things about the character. When a character is really far away and it's a super wide shot, it shows distance, it shows vastness. When you're really close with the camera, with your character, it's almost personal. So think about how you want to plan your shots, how do you want to place the camera, and what does that involve in your script. If your script says the character is walking through the desert, then you want to think about how am I going to shoot the desert? Speak to your friends, speak to your parents, speak to people around you that can help you and ask them for help. Ask them, how can I shoot this in what way? Get ideas, because as a creative, the best way to learn is off each other. Okay, so let's go back. The first thing we do is write your script. And the second thing we do is plan your shots. And in your shot planning, you're going to pick things like props, costume, art direction, which is really important, but we won't go into those details. But if you can think about one prop that makes the character special, or one element that makes the character special, now you've started to bring life into this character. A very important element of filmmaking, which people sometimes forget, is sound. And sound is a character by itself. You can have the best footage in the world, and if you can't hear your character, and if I speak too soft, then you can't actually understand what I'm saying. And if that does not translate correctly, then you've lost your audience. So one of the most important things about filmmaking is sound. It's because that's how you can tell your story via your character. And the actor of your film is going to voice your thoughts, your words, and your story in character. So think about the sound. How will we record sound? And how is that going to translate? If you're going to shoot your character in a lot of noise and in public areas, you may have trouble with moving cars, people, and background noise. And that can be a not very good experience. So be careful when you are starting to plan your story and how to shoot it. Think about sound. Think about what am I going to do in this shot? Is there going to be music? Is it dramatic? Is it harmony? Is it love? Is it humor? What is the mood and tone that you're trying to give? Audio and sound is a very, very important part of this. And a lot of the times, you can tell your story in simple shots with the right sound. So let's rewind a little bit. Script, plan your shots, think about things like props, elements, art direction, and how you want to shoot. And then we're going to think about sound, because that's an important part of your character. Once we've covered the first three elements of how to make a film, let's think about the next important thing that comes into mind, which is the edit. What happens when we actually shoot everything that we've written? We've thought about the locations, we've thought about the characters, we've thought about their costume, and then we've thought about the sound. And now once you've recorded all of that and you've filmed all of that, we must edit it all to make it a film. Alfred Hitchcock, a very famous filmmaker and father of modern generation filmmaking, had a very cool saying where he said, "A filmmaker dreams a different film, writes a different film, shoots a different film, edits a different film, and the audience watches a completely different film." So when you're editing your film, you can actually bring the life out of your film. To edit your film correctly, you must give yourself the room or the shots to do that. So for that, make sure you rehearse as much as possible. Plan your shoots when you're shooting, knowing that it needs to be cut. For example, if you shoot from the front as you are now, you also may want to shoot from the back. And that way, you can have two shots to cut back and forth. Or you may want to change the angle from a close-up, like this, to a wide, and shoot the same take again. So the same dialogue. Do it 2 times or 3 times, and that gives you room in your edit that you can choose from. Sometimes we don't realize, but when we're shooting, we think that we have what we need. But when you start editing, you'll soon realize, I wish I did one more shot. So don't make the mistake of just doing 1 take. Always do 1 for safety and then 1 just to give you room in case something goes wrong. So think about the edit. Think about always letting your shot run for a few seconds longer than you think. If you think this is all I need for 10 seconds, run it for 5 seconds more. And you never know what those 5 seconds can help you in your edit. So think about the edit, because this actually can make your film, or else you may have to go back and reshoot, and nobody wants to reshoot. So one of the last things that we're going to touch on is your color grading and some technical aspects. And I won't go into too much technical detail, but I will tell you guys some small things to help you guys. Color in film is very, very important. If it's black and white, it reads a certain way. If any of you have seen the film Matrix, it's green and it reads a certain way. It's science fiction, as we call it. So think about color and think about how it reads in your film, because overall, when you put the story with the right sound together, you're actually going to get the color being a very important part of that. Now, how can we do some of these things that I just told you? Let's go a bit technical, just a little bit. Think about, what camera do I want to use? Nowadays, you can use your iPhone. I have personally made films on my iPhone, and I can tell you that it's a great camera. It's how you want to use this camera. think about the lens, and don't think that you always need $1 million expensive rig camera with many people. Think about what's available next to you. Filmmakers must always be resourceful. So don't think about spending money, but think about how can I save money by making something, or making a prop, or using what I have around me to make that happen. Think about lighting, because lighting is very, very important. If this room was not lit correctly right now, you may not be able to see me and just hear my voice, which would not make this very interesting. So technically, think about the camera, think about what lenses you would like to use, think about how this will now translate or go into your edit. When you want to edit, there are many free softwares available nowadays. You can edit on your phone. All laptops come with some softwares like Final Cut or different editing softwares that are available readily and easily to help you edit. Don't go spending money on expensive softwares, because as a filmmaker, as I said, you must be resourceful. So use what you have around you and make more films. And as you keep making films, you're slowly going to understand that it doesn't take one film to become a genius filmmaker, but it takes an artist to keep creating and working on their craft. At the end of the day, we're all filmmakers to tell stories. So dream big, tell stories that are from the heart, because at the end of the day, this is all we can do as filmmakers, is tell honest stories that can shape, change, and inspire others to be better human beings in whatever way possible. Art is not perfect. Art is meant to be a way of expression. So if each of us had to tell the same story, we would each tell it in a completely different way, because that's the beauty of filmmaking. We each have an individual voice. Don't forget that. And every time you want to make a film, dream big. Dream big to tell your stories. And I hope to see all of you one day become filmmakers of the future and watch your films in the cinema. Enjoy this Global Village special tutorial, and thank you for having me. My name is Uzair Merchant, and I look forward to doing more tutorials and classes with you guys. Until then, goodbye.